Welcome back. So this is our interior finishes and curb appeal part 2. So now we are looking at flooring and window treatments. So flooring. The first type of flooring we have is wood. So it's a hard surface. So hard surface means like if I knock on it, it makes a sound. So anything that you can knock on and it makes that sound is considered a hard surface. So there are a few types of wood flooring that you should be aware of. So we have a solid wood floor, which if you look at this closely, I can actually see the rings of the wood all the way through. So the full thickness of this is one piece of wood. So if I put this in my home and I decided I didn't like the color, I could refinish this multiple times. I could sand it down, restain it, sand it down, restain it, and it would still stay beautiful because the pattern of the grain is all the way through that thickness. So that's solid wood. It's probably the most expensive. And then I have engineered, sorry, I didn't highlight that for you. I have engineered wood, and that's this one. So when I look at it, there is a top layer that has sort of a good thickness to it that is solid wood. So again, if I look at just this top layer, I see that that grain of the wood goes all the way through. Underneath the wood, though, I have these plies that are relatively inexpensive. So what that is just a very thin layer of really inexpensive wood. And in one layer, the grains go this way, and then in the next layer, the grains go this way, and then it just reverses. And so it makes it very strong. But because the layer of a solid wood is very thin, I might be able to refinish it one time and then that's it. Okay, so still good quality. It is wood through and through. It's just engineered, and the solid wood part is a lot thinner. So when people get wood now, typically this is the wood floor that they're getting. There is also the luxury vinyl plank. And so this looks like wood. It is not wood. It is vinyl, and it has on top a wear layer. And then in between, it has a thickness of vinyl that is stamped that might have some texture and the color of wood. So that color goes through and through this thickness. Sorry, goes through this thickness, and it can be mopped and all of that stuff, but it is vinyl. It is not wood. A lot of people get this now for durability. And some of them actually look a lot like wood. And then underneath, there's just substrate, cushion, all of this stuff. So this is sort of a nicer vinyl plank. But then there is also what's called a laminate. And a laminate is a lot less expensive than the vinyl plank. And that's because really this image is truly an image. It's like a piece of paper that has a clear vinyl on top of it. But the image of the wood is really just sort of a picture that is then glued to some sort of compressed particle board. And what happens with compressed particle board, if if it gets wet, it will expand and do not great things. So this would probably be the least desirable, the laminate wood. Then we have our luxury vinyl plank, which again isn't wood, but represents wood and is used quite often. Then we have our engineered wood, which is probably what's used most in terms of installing wood flooring. And then we have our really expensive solid wood floors. Some other hard surfaces are tile and concrete. So concrete is really a nice floor finish material. And if you ever have the opportunity to visit our classroom or our building, the flooring in that building is concrete. And you'll notice that some of it has been painted and some of it, or I should say stained, and some of it has been left natural. So you can change the color of concrete. You can do etching in concrete. You can stain patterns into concrete. And it also is considered a green material. And you can also make counters and all kind of things out of concrete. And then there is tile, and tile comes in a bunch of different types. There's red clay tile, porcelain, ceramic, you name it. You can get mosaics and tile. I shouldn't say mosaics. You can get, well, I guess you can. Mosaics are a tile. They're made up of tile. But I'm thinking about terrazzo. So you can buy terrazzo tiles. And terrazzo is actually when you take any material, could be stone or glass, you mix it with concrete and then you make a tile. And you sand it out and it's really beautiful. So if you've ever been to a convention center, the Los Angeles Convention Center, the whole floor is of a map of the world that's done in terrazzo. So again, I'm sorry, there are so many materials I could tell you about, so I'm trying to hold my tongue, but I can't help it. And then there's carpet. So carpet is considered a soft material. So when I knock on it, it makes no sound. I don't have any carpet around me, but it has cush and it's also absorbent. What you should know about hard materials is that they do echo. So if you have a home that has wood floors, painted walls, ceilings that are hard with can lights, and there's not, and the furniture is hard, like maybe there's, wood chairs, maybe there's not a sofa for whatever reason, the space may echo and feel empty. So you want to avoid that, and you can do that by either putting in an area rug. An area rug will soften, and an area rug will absorb sound. Upholstered furniture absorbs sound, and of course, wall-to-wall carpet absorbs sound. So wall-to-wall carpet is called a broadloom, and that's just because of the loom that it's made on. But it is soft, so it lends itself to the softness of the space. It's acoustic, meaning it absorbs sound, and it can also be beautiful. Uh, in addition to broadloom carpet, there are also carpet tiles. And I think for residential, probably the most popular um, carpet manufacturer's Floor, and I think I spelled it wrong here. I think there's only one O. But this is what the carpet looks like installed. This is actually the tile, right? So you can take this tile and manipulate it in the space however you want in order to create a pattern. So I feel like I'm seeing one pattern here. Maybe it's different here. It might be the same. I think it's actually the same. But again, only half of this is one tile. Oh, another reason why modular tiles are good, they're easy install. They don't require any pad or glue. So if you're doing wall to wall or you're just creating an area rug, you really just have to lay them down, and they have a rubber on the back so they don't slip. And let's say one day you're walking, you trip, you spill your coffee, and four of the tiles get messed up. You only need to replace those four, right? Because you just pull the tiles up and get new tiles and put the other ones down. And maybe you can even take them out depending on the material and hose them and clean them. But you're doing it in a way that is outside and away from the rest of the tiles. So convenient, and in that way could save money. They tend to be a little bit more expensive than a broadloom. And then we have area rugs. So area rugs are nice again in that they create warmth in the space and they also help to absorb sound, but they also delineate space. So if you're trying to sort of create a function, a smaller function within a bigger room, then area rugs can help you do that by saying, okay, this space is meant for this because it's sitting on this rug, and then everything else is happening over there. And then we have cork. So cork, I think right now is not typical in residential design, but hopefully it will get there. Cork is a green material. It's harvested from trees, and it's the actual bark of the tree. And they harvest it every 9 years, and then the tree does not need to be cut down. So it's considered a green material because we're not killing any trees. It is warm, so it's just a nice soft material. It does absorb sound because it's porous, so it has all these holes in it. So if you're looking for a wood look, but you want that sort of warmth and sound absorption and even softness, cork is really sort of nice underfoot, then cork might be the flooring choice. It does come in rolls and it does come in squares, so you can get it in a bunch of different types. It has so many good qualities. Cork is non-flammable, so it doesn't burn readily, and it is microbial. Hopefully, I'm saying that wrong. It doesn't hold germs. So cork is a good one. And then we have bamboo, which is also a renewable source. And bamboo is pretty popular now, so it's used pretty often. But bamboo is actually a grass, so it grows really quickly. And I was trying to get an up close picture, and you can kind of see it in here. They actually do put it together in planks. So when you buy it, it's sold in the same kind of planks a wood floor would be sold in. But it's like that engineered wood. So the top, and actually it depends on the product. Some of them are like plywood. So when we saw the engineered wood, it was, the solid plank on top with the layers of cheap wood on the bottom. With bamboo, it could be that where there's a layer of bamboo on top and then cheap below, or they actually layer the bamboo all the way through, which I guess it does make it a solid bamboo, but you wouldn't want to continue to sand it because then you get all those kind of weird different directions. But you can see, like this is, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but this is where the leaves grow out of the bamboo. So you can see that texture happening of the bamboo stalk. And I think bamboo right now is probably comparable in price to a wood flooring. And then we have rubber tiles and also vinyls. I don't think I put vinyls in here, but rubber tiles can definitely be eco-friendly and recyclable. This is what you'll see oftentimes in commercial design. Because they're easy to clean. They come in wide sheet goods, so there's not a lot of seams. You can also get it in tiles. They're becoming increasingly more popular because they are green and sustainable. They don't hurt our planet. Um, so when you're thinking about flooring, what you need to think about is how durable is it a lot of times. Like who's going to be using the space? Are there pets? Do they do a lot of cooking? Do they do a lot of entertaining? And so you need to select flooring based on the use a lot of times. You need to think about moisture resistance in bathrooms and kitchens. Floors tend to get wet. So you probably are not going to put a wood in a bathroom because there's so much excessive water that it may swell up and then have to expand back down. You will see those vinyl woods, the luxury vinyl happening in kitchens and bathrooms. So again, they're mimicking the woods, but they are vinyl, so they are okay to get wet. And then maintenance and cleaning. You don't want to put a silk carpet probably in a space with a puppy that might use the bathroom on it because then it's absolutely ruined. So again, you need to know your client to decide what type of flooring will be good for them. And flooring, that's really an important factor because it's what they're actually walking on, right? Like walls, the trim will get touched, but typically people aren't walking around and touching walls. People aren't typically walking around and touching draperies, but there is constant wear and tear on the floor. So the primary factor typically in deciding flooring is durability and traffic. Um, Comfort, I guess comfort is important too. So again, if you want something that's soft underfoot, a wood floor may not be the best. Cork, if they want a wood look, but carpet is softer and is gives more cushion underfoot. Acoustics, again, this room in the image looks pretty loud to me. So the carpet and the upholstery are really helping to sort of soften the sound and thermal qualities. Um, so carpets will hold heat a little better. And then there are also floors that you can get heating in. So tiles that tend to be cooler, right? Like when you walk in the winter on your tile floors, like burr, but you can actually get tiles heated. So with staging, the story remains the same. So you want to keep it clean, updated, durable surfaces that have the lowest maintenance. You want to focus on connectivity and what makes a space feel large and cohesive. Um, and buyers have been shown to best respond to hardwood floors or the luxury vinyl floors and a clean tile without a pattern. And so when I'm looking at this space, I think this room, even though it looks like it has multiple functions, right? It's like something's happening here. It looks like this is dining. It looks like back over here by the living room is some sort of, or excuse me, by the fireplace is some sort of living room. And then there's another seating room here. And when I look at this, there are a lot of area rugs. So I'm not sure I 100% agree with the space planning because I feel like this path is a little tight and that might have been moved around for the photograph. I might even want more of a clear view out of my window when I walk in. So for staging, maybe this isn't the best furniture layout, but it does give me an indication with area rugs of these different spaces within this very large space. And the wood floor sort of unifies it all. So customized flooring for lifestyle and aesthetics. Again, when you're doing design and staging, sky's the limit. So you can have plush carpets, obviously, in the bedroom, pattern tile in the kitchen, polished concrete. I love the mixing and matching of materiality, again, to help create the zones. So like we saw in the image we just left, the area rugs created zones. When I'm in this area, very clearly, this is the entryway. And as soon as I cross over this threshold, from tile to wood, I'm very clearly in a different space. And then within that space, I have a zone that is connected by an area rug. Window treatments. So I have to admit, this is some sort of honeycomb shade that is by Love is Blinds, and it's beautiful. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm not 100% sure what it is, but it's really pretty. So I put it on the cover, but I can't tell you what it is. Sorry. Can't tell you what this is though. So this is just a roller shade, which is super simple, has a little bit of pattern to it, but I think just like our textured wallpaper, just adds to the texture and the depth of the space. So when you're selecting window treatments for staging, you really want to allow as much light in as possible because the light is what's going to make the house feel open and fresh and new. So light is super important when you're staging and even when you are styling to allow light in for photography and all of those things. So perception of maintenance. So anything that's outdated or heavy, like drapes, should be updated. So photography impact, window treatments frame light and photos. And so you want them to be able to enhance and allow the light in, not block either the view outside of the window or the light that's coming in. So general rules with staging windows, keep it simple. So minimalist, neutral sheers are much, much better, again, because they let in the light. So you're avoiding heavy draperies and valances or tassels. And again, those things look heavy, so they tend to make the space shrink. And then you just want to stay neutral and universal. So cottons, linens, all those same paint colors that we saw apply to your window treatments because again, they are the wall, right? So when you're thinking about your window treatments, you're really thinking about them as an extension of your walls. And you really also want to make sure you're allowing the view to be seen and you're allowing the light to come in. So those are the main things about window treatments. So again, if you're choosing blinds, they probably should not be the little white mini blinds you get at Home Depot. Wood blinds work because they tend to be like shutters. Make sure they're clean, they're working. White and faux wood probably are your best choices. Again, you don't want the white mini blinds that bend and turn yellow and break really easily. Enough said about that. I like Roman shades as well, because you can get them so that they open from the top and the bottom. Um, Is that true? I'm sorry, that is not true. Pleated shades or honeycomb shades, like this one, you can get open from the top and the bottom. Roman shades, however, only open from the bottom, but they are clean. And one of the things we want to think about, I think I talk about in another slide, is that Roman shades, all the mechanical stuff that raises them up and down are on the back. So you want to make sure if you're having someone make Roman shades for you, they're done in a really exquisite manner, not only from the front, but from the back, because you can see them from the outside. So, but Roman shades are really nice because they're clean. They're a very nice aesthetic. Honeycomb shades are okay. And again, this is my opinion, so you can sort of take it or leave it. They look a little cheap to me because the fabric is sort of vinyl-y. They do a good job in terms of filtering light and insulation. They do keep in heat or keep in the cool. For me, the fabric is a little, tends to look a little cheap. Roller shades are great though. You can get them in great fabrics. You can get them custom, so they can be sheer, they can be a print. And then the zebra blinds are really cool. Again, I think they feel a little trendy to me. So for a modern interior, I think they work well. But if I'm not sure you can tell, but this it's like a solid and then a sheer and a solid and a sheer. And as you roll them up and down, when all the solids align, then it's sort of a darker moment. But then when all the shears align, it's like a sheer curtain. So it's like a roller shade, a double-sided roller shade, and it's going back and forth between closed and open. Um, they're new-ish. They feel a little trendy. If I had to choose, it would be the Roman shade and the roller shade every time. And floor length panels. So if you are doing window treatments like draperies, I would make sure that you are doing floor length patterns, floor length height, I should say, because it heightens the room, right? It takes your eye all the way up to the ceiling, which makes a room feel higher as opposed to something like this where it's just stopping at the window, makes the window look a little squat. Okay, so if you are doing a drapery, make sure you take it high and above the window. Even if you're doing blinds, it's nice to take the blind above the window. So when the blind is raised all the way up, I see the full window, so I'm getting the full light. I'm not blocking any of that window. Same when you're taking draperies off to the side like this. As much as possible, you want them to clear the window so you're not blocking any of the window. And avoid themed fabrics. So really, again, think of it as an extension of your paint. And shutters. So shutters have pros and cons. So some of the pros is that they really are an architectural detail. Um, so that is for me a good thing. It doesn't look like something hopefully that was added on later. They look fresh and clean if they're new from both the inside and the outside. Shutters are seen as an upgrade when you're purchasing a house because they tend to be expensive, and they're neutral, so they don't, they don't fit a particular style necessarily. Some of the cons, if they were done improperly, then they won't fit the windows. If they have a lot of like these bars, they may tend to block the view. So if there's a really nice view happening there, you may want to avoid shutters because you want to be able to show off that view. They may look heavy, depending on the size of your window or the size of the space. They should be scaled accordingly. If you make a poor choice in color, or they're just old and need to be replaced, they could definitely be a con. Swags and valances, and I wanted to show you this only to say they probably will be dating your space if you choose them. So a valance is like this header piece that goes above or the top part of the window. A lot of times a valance will happen if there's a roller shade and you don't want the mechanics of the roller shade or even a mini blind to show. I could not find a lot. They sort of are not, at least I couldn't find a lot of nice ones, I'll say that. They're sort of not in vogue anymore. This is the nicest one I found. And so they, for me, look appropriate in a kitchen, or like this is sort of a bay window, or someplace that's sort of casual. But when you start to see them in living rooms, they do start to feel heavy and they date the home. So if you're seeing something like this in your client's home and you're getting ready to stage it, I would highly, highly, highly recommend a window treatment upgrade. And this, it was hard to find pictures of this too, but this is my pet peeve. So when you're staging a house, it's also your consideration. What is the house looking like when you first walk up to it? So we talked about paint colors. And one of the things you want to do is make sure the porch is inviting. And I forgot to say that in the paint section, but if you have a really dark porch, it's a little scary, right? So you want to make sure, even if you have that black house, that you have a light, bright, even happy entry to your darker house. The other thing that you should really consider is that all the window treatments on the front side of the house should be the same from the back. So you don't want one window that has a pink curtain, one window that has a blue curtain, one window that has a pattern curtain. And that may be what you need on the inside of the house, but you should definitely have a lining on the curtain or whatever window treatment it is that is the same. So even if you have maybe shutters on one window, you want to match the color of those shutters with the drapery, the lining or the back side of the drapery. So if you have a Roman shade in one window, it needs to have the same color as the shutter in the other window so that the face of the house looks nice and uniform. So windows are really to frame the view. So if there's an opportunity not to have any window treatments at all when you're staging, great, right? Because then you're letting in the most light. You are showing off the beautiful view if there is one, and so that's probably the best of all worlds. So, key do's and don'ts for window treatments. So you do want to use neutral and simple treatments. You do want to showcase natural light. You do want to invest in updated blinds or shades if current ones are damaged. You do want to hang curtains high and wide to elongate the windows. What you do not want to do is leave dusty or broken or yellow blinds, leave outdated valances, swags, or heavy draperies, block views with dark or bulky fabrics, or choose bold patterns or colors that might limit your buyer's imagination. So when I look at this window treatment, it's not my favorite. Again, because the pattern is very specific. There's not a lot of light that's coming in because they have the shutters here, and then they put this really dark dividing fabric. Had this not been there, I think the space would look a lot more open. I think the darkness of the drapery is sort of dragging down the light level. So window treatments designed for privacy, comfort, and style. So you can always use layers. So in this case, they have draperies over roller shades. And then I do believe this is a lot. This is a blind and a sort of a um, Roman shade made out of woven grass, which is interesting. That's why I put it there. I've never seen it before. But if you're looking for privacy, usually woven grass blinds do not give you a lot of privacy at night. You can see through them. But if you have a blind underneath, you can mitigate that at night, pull it all the way up during the day so you can see out, and then pull it down at night so people can't see in. So you can layer in residential. It's probably not worth it to do it if you're buying new blinds for staging. And then I just gave you a comparison chart, the do's and the don'ts, the staging strategies versus the interior design strategies. So that is the end of that lecture. I will see you over at the assignment. Bye.